Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the channel. It's always a pleasure to see you. I hope you're doing well. We are back to business today. 2 new tournaments. We'll be sticking on over in Germany and we'll be heading on over to London as well. I can't wait for these. I think we had 2 decent ones last week. I've got a feeling these will be even better. So before we get started, like the video if you would, get yourself subscribed to the channel. If you're not already, I'd appreciate it if you did. Best bets, any predictions, get them in the comments as we go along. If there's anything I'm going for personally, that's going to be in the pinned comments. Be sure you're checking that out every day as we go along. Just touching on some outrights really quick as well. I don't know how you want to play this week. We have got Jannik Sinner in one and Carlos Alcaraz in the other. Around 1.6, 1.8, depending, give or take, depending where you look. Personally, I don't fancy having to wait all week to hit an outright at 1.6 or 1.8. That's just the way I feel about it. Best way you're probably going to be able to go about this, providing who you go with lets you do it. Just take 1 or 2 of them each way. Just take someone each way on the outright. That way, at least if they get to the final and they lose, you'll end up with a plus money ticket as opposed to a 1.6 for a Jannik Sinner or a Carlos Alcaraz. That's just food for thought. I've got my eye on 1 or 2. They'll probably be in the pinned comments. So you know what I always say: if it's pinned, it's pinned. If it's not, it's not. But now that's out the way, we'll waste no more time and we'll get it on. We'll start off over in Germany. Got Marozsan and Kecmanovic. Should be interesting. I'm not going to waste too much time on these ones. I always say it's the first round. Got to see who turns up, who doesn't. Need to see who deserves to be here and who does not. It always happens in the first round. It does. Somewhat of a free hit for us. So if you are having a go, just keep it simple. Keep it light. Don't be doing anything crazy. Like I say, more often than not, there's some fuckery in these first rounds. So just chill out for a day or 2, yeah. We've got Marozsan, Kecmanovic. Just going to treat these as somewhat of a speed run today. Getting Marozsan as a slight dog. Look, straight off the bat, I wouldn't mind it. I don't think neither one of these really operate that well on the grass, although they never really have done. I do think we've seen more from Kecmanovic over the years. 16 and 19 on the grass as opposed to 3 and 6. There you go. Look, what you see is what you get with Marozsan, I suppose. 5 and 5. 5 in his last 10. Was a bit slow over on the hard court. Managed to pick it up a little bit more on the clay first game over on the grass for the pair of these. Quite the opposite for Kecmanovic. Done the majority of the business on the hard court. Tended to struggle a little bit more than others on the clay. 1 win in his last 5. Beat by Alex Michelsen, Talon Griekspoor, Arthur Rinderknech. 1 win to Sebastian Baez, 5 sets in the first round of the French Open. And then he got beat by Quinton Halys in round 2 and we've not seen him since. Pretty similar path for Marozsan. Got past Arnaldi round 1, bumped into Carlos Alcaraz in the second. Managed to take a set off him, none the least. Just didn't have the minerals on the day, as we probably didn't expect him to, right? I don't know, man. It's a tough one. It is a tough one. Odds are split pretty much right down the middle. You are getting Kecmanovic as a slight favourite, I suppose. I'm not going to use the word trustworthy, but I suppose he's probably a little bit more proven, if you can even say that on the grass. I wouldn't even be picking him. In a spot like this, it'd be the dog or the nothing. It would. I wouldn't mind just taking a punt on Marozsan, at least for a set. I don't know. I'm not picking it with much conviction, like I said. Grass isn't exactly their strong suit for either one. But it would be Marozsan. I would. Why not? I don't mind him. I feel like on the day, you can probably get a slightly higher level out of Marozsan than Kecmanovic. And I say that lightly, very lightly. So don't read into it too much, I'd be going with Marozsan. Yeah, fuck it. I'm not going to waste any more time. First day, first round, we'll move on. to Daniel Altmaier, Daniel Medvedev. Daniel Medvedev. Every time I see Daniel Medvedev, I wonder, what are the odds for this? Surely they're going to be all right. 1.16. Get the fuck out of here, man. He's not operating anywhere near that level. Let's be real, is he, folks? 1.16. Anyone taking Daniel Medvedev at 1.16? You've got to be fucking retarded, right, doing that. He's not won one of his last 4. Musetti, Cam Norrie. That Cam Norrie game in the French Open. He didn't even get past the first round in the French Open. Just got past Mannarino and Den Bosch. Couldn't do a thing against Rally Opelka. Look, there's not much you're going to do against Rally Opelka when he's playing like that, especially on the grass. You know, he's just, you can't get a foothold in that match. You can't get a hold of anything, especially if you can't wrap yourself around that serve. You're fucked, aren't you? No doubt you'll have a much easier time dealing with the first serve. Just the overall game of Daniel Altmaier, I'm pretty certain of that. If you'd told me Daniel Altmaier was going to have a more impressive run out in the French Open than fucking Daniel Medvedev, I'd have thought you were nuts. Taylor Fritz, Vic Capriva, Hamad Medvedev, and then he bumped into Big Foe and ended up getting done. He's a 4-1 dog, 5.05, 5.1 on the decimal for Daniel Altmaier. Wow, he's a massive dog. Big dogs, big spreads. First game on the clay for Daniel Altmaier, so that is always concerning. Just the fact that he's playing Medvedev is a little bit concerning, but I don't know, man. I think it's a big ask to get past Medvedev on the grass, especially for Daniel Altmaier. 8-14 in his career since 2013, doesn't like it, doesn't fancy himself on the surface, as opposed to Medvedev, 57-25, much more suited to the grass, if you'd ask me. Would I be taking him at 1.15? Absolutely not. Not a fucking chance. Don't know how you want to go about this one. Daniel Altmaier on the spread. Do you think he can keep it close? Probably right. I'd think so. I wouldn't see why not. They played each other once before, back in 2016 in the futures, so that's quite irrelevant if you'd ask me. I don't know, maybe just bite the bullet. Take Daniel Altmaier on the points. The way Daniel Medvedev's been playing lately, you would not catch me going anywhere near this guy, either which way. I am expecting him to get through to the next round, but however which way he wants to go about it is entirely up to him. I will be seeing him in round 2, maybe not, I don't know. Maybe Daniel Altmaier can pull off the upset. I wouldn't put it past him. But we'll crack on to Alexander Muller and Alexander Bublik. I'll be going with Bublik on this one. I'll be taking Alexander Bublik, 1.3 to 1.4. Quite steep, quite a big favourite, but I think it is that way for a very good reason. Very, very decent run out in the French Open. Not only that, most definitely pulled it together, started picking it up over on the clay. Had a bit of a stinker to start the year, hit the clay, 15-6, most definitely found his footing over there. Very solid, can impose a very tough, dominant game. I feel like on the grass as well, it's always suited him. It always will. Alexander Muller, he ain't done shit on this surface. 3-5 on a career, 1-1 last year. Same before that. 0-2 in 2021. Barely winning one game a year. Not even playing more than 2 games a year. This is another guy who's basically made out of clay. Quite decent on the hard court too. Does prefer the clay, no doubt about that. Does not fancy himself on the grass. I think, look, Bublik's one of them. Like, he can serve through anyone on the clay. You know, it's mad, isn't it? His serve is so tough to wrap around, you know, providing it's hitting. Safe to say Alexander Bublik's been playing 10 times better the past couple of weeks than what we've seen, you know, for the few months prior to that. I wouldn't mind taking him as a nice little parlay piece, 1.4. I think he gets past Alexander Muller today. I think he'll be too much. Should be enough 3 points within the power of the game alone, especially that serve. I don't see Muller standing much of a chance. I imagine Bublik probably gets this one done in 2. Alexander Muller can be tricky on the day, but I think Bublik beaten better players than that in the past week or two. Well, the past month anyway, most definitely. So that'll be the way I'd be going on that one. And then we've got Quinton Halys and Benjamin Bonzi. Head to head is 3-2 to Quinton Halys in this one. These have never played each other on the grass before. It's always been on the hard court, indoor or out. Benjamin Bonzi beat him towards the end of last year in Metz. Straight sets as well, 6-3. Tiebreaker. Bonzi's won the last two. Metz last year, US Open year before that, and then Quinton Halys won the first three. You're going back to 2021, and then the first time out in 2014. Fuck, that's quite some time ago, right? I've got low expectations for this. I have. Got two Frenchies going at each other on the grass. Odds are somewhat split down the middle, pretty much. Slight favourite. Actually, no, they're not. You're getting Quinton Halys around 1.7, 1.75. I think it's easy to look at this and say, yeah, I think Quinton Halys wins it. When in reality, I haven't got a fucking clue who wins this. 23-16 for Quinton Halys. That's overall on the grass. He did go 5-1 last year, 3-1 the year before that. It was Wimbledon last year, weren't he? Done all right, didn't he? He tends to do. He got to the third round in Wimbledon after coming through qualifying as well. He bumped into Rune, had a very close game against him. As opposed to Benjamin Bonzi, 6-3 last year, 0-3 before that. Didn't even qualify for Wimbledon. Made it to the semi-finals on the Challenger Tour and the grass tournaments. Yeah. Maybe Quinton Halys is just ever so slightly more trustworthy in this spot. We know what we're going to get from him. We know exactly what we're going to get from him on the day. It's quite a tough game. He's hard to break. I'm expect maybe a tiebreaker. It's the same with Bonzi. He can whip out a decent service match for a set, at least. Look for the tiebreak. Look at the over on the first set. I'm not too sure. I think the first set will be crucial on this. Whoever wins this first set wins this match. I can't see anyone dropping the first one and pulling it back. That's just food for thought. So maybe, I don't know, maybe look at it in play also. And I couldn't tell you who's going to win this one straight up. I probably would lean with Quinton Halys, but I'm not picking that with a lot of conviction. Like I say, this really is anyone's. Really is anyone's. Don't fancy rolling the dice on this. I don't. This could be an absolute stinker. Look, it could be an absolute cracker. I don't know. Maybe I could be so wrong. But if I had to guess, I'd say even just watching this one, you're probably not going to know who's going to win right up until the moment someone does. Maybe look at an over. Total games played. I know some of you like them. Not too sure what the number is. Probably about 12.5, 11.5. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm not touching this one. I'll be staying far, far away from it. And we'll wrap this up over in Germany before we move on to London with Stefanos Tsitsipas and Luciano Darderi. I've got a bad feeling about this one. I don't know why. Realistically, it should be as easy as you look at it, you go, Tsitsipas, he probably should. I'm not crazy for saying Tsitsipas probably should beat Luciano Darderi today on the grass, but is it just me? I don't think Tsitsipas is that good on the grass. I don't. He's okay. Like he's better than he's still a lot better than most, but I don't know. I've always thought he'd be a little bit better than what he's always managed to do. 4-2 last year. Didn't get past this, didn't get out of the second round of any tournament. Won his first match, got beaten the second one, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1 in every tournament. 1-1 in Halle, got past Henry Schweier, got beat by Struff. Then went over to the Boodles, Lazovic, Sebastian Korda beat him. Then over in Wimbledon, he beat Taro Daniel, and then he got fucking slapped up by Emil Ruusuvuori. Do you remember him? What's happened to him? Whatever happened to that guy? I haven't seen him for some time. Anyway, we'll forget about that. We're getting off topic. Yeah, look, I'd expect Tsitsipas to win this one. But I was not impressed with what I've seen last time out in the French Open. Had a very, very poor performance. I expected a lot more. With it being on the clay as well, most definitely his preferred surface. What are you to do with this? I mean, 9-5 on the hard court, 2-1 indoors, 7-5 indoors. Tsitsipas has been decent this year, he has. Even though, he's a bit patchy, he's a little bit streaky. Sometimes he plays a lot better than what you'd expect. Over him was it Doha, Dubai? It was one of them. One of the titles that he won. And he was fantastic with his new racket. And he just slapped the shit out of everyone all week. Are we expecting that on the grass? Maybe not. But we could get it. You never know with this guy. Luciano Darderi barely played on this surface. 3-6 on his career. 2-3 last year. 0-1 the year before. I think this is another one. I always said it in the last one, but I think the first set in this is crucial. I really do. Tsitsipas takes that first set. I don't think Darderi's going to come back and beat him. But then again, Tsitsipas ain't really one for pulling off these comebacks, especially as of late. I think Darderi stands a chance against them? I don't know. He's on a 3-game losing streak. And not only that, he did play in Den Bosch last week, getting beat by Nicolas Jarry in 3 sets. I don't really like the look at that. It's not personal, but, if you could pick pretty much anyone, if you could pick 5 players for you to get a free win against in one of these tournaments, I imagine Nicolas Jarry would be around 3 of them. So, I don't know. Bit of a shit one. But then again, it's like, what do we expect from Darderi over on the grass? Very low expectations, but with that being said, and it does kill me to say it, I don't think I've got very high expectations for Tsitsipas in this. I really don't. How deep is he going to go? I couldn't tell you. Apart from that loss last time out to Matteo Gigante in the French Open, probably shouldn't have been losing that. His other 4 losses within his last 10 games, 2 of them to Musetti, 2 of them to Artefis. So, what do you say something about that? There's no shame in that, right? Imagine if you get sent home in the first round in Germany by Luciano Darderi when the kid does not play on the grass. I think that'll be quite bad. I do. It's not entirely impossible, and upset is not off the cards, but I would be shocked if Tsitsipas was to get sent home in the first round here. He's at least made it to the round of 16 every single time he's played here before. Luciano Darderi didn't even make it out the first round. Last year he ended up getting beat by Struff, although it was a close game too, and he was a massive dog in that, and he kept it very, very close. 2 tiebreakers and a 7-5. Maybe he can keep this one close. I don't know. He's going to have to come out hot in that first set. A bit of a sleeper pick if anyone's even watching still. Well, at this point in the prediction, I was looking at Darderi to see if he can get him plus 2.5 in that first set. He might come out hot. He may just be able to cover that. All he needs 4 games. He may even take the first set and then he might just go and win the game. I don't know. It's food for thought. I don't fancy taking Tsitsipas at 1.2. I don't. I need to see a little bit more out of him before I start considering prices like that. Don't fancy taking Darderi on the spread. Definitely not just taking him because of the price. You know what I mean? That's just, I don't do that. I do not think he's going to win. And just because the price is good doesn't mean I'm going to bet it blindly. I think Tsitsipas should get it done. I wouldn't be taking him. So I wish you the best of luck with that one. And then we will move on over to Queens. Why not? How many have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, okay. Try not to waste too much time with these ones. First off, over in London, we've got Big Foe and Dan Evans head-to-head is 6-4 to Francis Tiafoe. I've got a weird feeling about this one too. Yeah, Big Foe around 1.3. Is that 1.25, 1.3? I don't really like it. I don't. I am fully expecting him to beat Dan Evans, don't get me wrong. With it being his first game over on the grass, the transition to the grass for Big Foe, I think that's enough for me to just sit off of this one. Dan Evans, I'd say he looked fairly decent in Den Bosch until he ran into Hugo Humbert, came through qualifying, got past Dinky, all in 3 sets as well. I don't know. I'd say Dan Evans is probably even say, I don't know, I'm not even going to say a little bit more trustworthy. He's not bad on the grass. He most definitely knows how to play on it. Big Foe, not too bad either. We don't really see much of him on it. 3-3 last year, 7-3 the year before that. I don't know, third round in Wimbledon. How did he do the year before that? It was pretty much the same, weren't it? Yeah, third round in Wimbledon as well. Same as the last one with Tsitsipas, 1.25. Big Foe. I mean, putting it simply, folks, I don't know how much I can trust him. He should be getting past Dan Evans, but this is just one of them spots. We've seen it before. If I was to take Big Foe at 1.2 and he was to lose this match first round against Dan Evans, I don't know how I would feel about that. I really don't. He was very, very good last time out in the French Open, getting to the quarterfinals, getting beat by Mensik. No shame in that. He should have enough. He should have enough to get past Dan Evans. He really should. I feel bad saying it because I should always support me boy and back me boy, but I think the writing's on the wall in this one. I really do. I think Dan Evans, with it being a best of three, could definitely pose a little bit of a threat, but ultimately, I think Tiafoe is just fucking miles. He should be miles above him. He really should. But it could definitely be a little bit closer than what those are expecting. Head's 6-4 between them two. 6-4. That's not clear cut at all. Last time out, 2024 for Big Foe. 2-1. Two tiebreakers as well. Two really close tiebreakers. These have never played each other on the grass before. Always been on the hard court. I think Big Foe's won the last two. Now, what are you gonna do? It's been some time since Dan Evans has got a win. Actually, has it really? No, 2023. But you pay your money and take your choice. Like I say, I'm not wasting too much time on this one. It should be as easy as Big Foe. Probably in straight sets. But it's never been easy in the past, I imagine. Probably safe to assume this one's going to be no different than the others. I would expect Big Foe to get through at 1.25. I ain't taking him. I ain't taking that. So we will move on to who we got on second. Let's get that out the way. Got Bautista Agut. Good old Roberto Bautista Agut. And Nuno Borges. And would you look at this? You've got Roberto Bautista Agut coming into this as a favourite. Aye. What is the world coming to? No, I'm only joking. Bautista Agut's he's been fairly decent on the grass over the years. Can't say the same for Nuno Borges. He looks decent on the hard court, somewhat decent on the clay. We come over to the grass and we get Nuno Borges 1-1 this year. Bumped into Hugo Humbert in Den Bosch and he looked awful. I don't know whether he looked awful or Hugo Humbert just put in an absolute blinder. A bit of both, I'd say. Got the walkover, didn't he, against Otto Virtanen in the round of 16 and beating the Shesh as well in the first round. Not a lot to go off. Bautista Agut is on a 3-game losing streak. Flavio Caboli, Holger Rune, Hubert Hurkacz. Wouldn't expect them to get past any one of them at this point. But as I always say with Bautista Agut, he's not done just yet. He's not done just yet, although I am well and truly done when it comes to betting on Bautista Agut. Not on the matches, but just on Bautista Agut specifically. Doesn't mean he's done forever. He's still got a couple of wins stashed in the locker, and I feel like Nuno Borges is most definitely just the type of person that he can spring one out on. 1.7 for Bautista Agut. Maybe that tells a story, Maybe that tells you a little bit of a story. I thought Nuno Borges may have been a favourite in this just for the sake of it, but he's actually not. And maybe he shouldn't be, because he didn't look that good against Hugo Humbert. I imagine Bautista Agut probably would have given Hugo Humbert a better go than what Nuno did the other day. Won't be touching it. Definitely won't be taking Bautista Agut at that price. Although the price is very tempting for both. You pay your money and you do take that choice. The choice is always and will always be yours. We make these decisions ourselves. Maybe look at total games played. See Bautista Agut winning this in straight sets. Surely not, right? Surely not. And just want to say that, He did beat Big Foe in straight sets in Hamburg. He did beat Marcus Gron in straight sets. He did beat Matteo Arnaldi. Why would he not beat Nuno Bush? I don't know. Just think about it, yeah. Approach it with severe caution. And then we've got Holger Rune, Matteo Arnaldi. I'll be going with Holger Rune in this one. 1.3. A little bit steep, I understand. It's an ideal parlay piece. I think he's a lot better on the surface than the Italian. Yeah, 1 and 2 last year for Matteo Arnaldi, 3 and 2 for Holger Rune, 8 and 2 the year before that. We usually see him in Wimbledon. Does the majority of his grass business over in Wimbledon. He's quite good too. I like Holger Rune when it comes to the surface. I like Holger Rune anyway. Good player. When the right guy turns up. You know what I mean? He should beat Matteo Arnaldi. 2-game losing streak. Didn't stand a chance against Struff the other week in Stuttgart. You're going to get a lot of, bit of a contrast in style compared to Holger Rune, but can't see him beating him. I can't. I'd be surprised if Matteo Arnaldi pulls this one off. He's won 5 of his last 10. I expect that. That's pretty much what I expect. Holger Rune currently winning 7 of his last 10 games. Obviously, remember how good he looked over in Barcelona. Obviously, that being on the clay. Fairly decent in the French Open too, until he bumped into Lorenzo Musetti, we all know. Well, we all knew he was going to lose that one. Well, I did anyway. We predicted that. There was a few people who weren't happy about that. Pretty certain he gets past Matteo Arnaldi. I'm pretty certain he does. He played each other once before. That went the way of the Danes, 6-4, 6-4 over in Paris last year, indoor hard court. I think he's good. I just think he's better. I don't really think it matters where we play. Hard court, indoor, outdoor, clay, grass, fucking carpet, on the beach, bit of a pickleball, bit of squash, you name it. I just think Holger Rune is just better. He's just better, you know what I mean? He's a bit more game. A little bit more prestige to his game as opposed to Matteo Arnaldi. I am fully expecting Holger Rune to get past this one. How deep he goes in the tournament, I'm not too sure. He could be a nice little sleeper to go on a nice little run, but I'm not too sure. I mean, there's not much you can do when Carlos Alcaraz and Jack Draper are about it in the tournament. So as far as how he's going to get on, I couldn't tell you. But as far as this match goes, I am fully expecting Holger Rune to get past Matteo Arnaldi. 1.24 is a bit of a price to pay to find out, especially in the first round. So like I said at the start, the same stands for each and every one of these folks. Just keep it light, keep it easy. Don't be doing nothing silly, yeah? Don't be doing nothing stupid. Some of these may turn up, and some of these inevitably will turn up and put in an absolute crapper. So just, yeah, don't be surprised. Although I would be a little bit surprised if Holger Rune was to win that one. But yeah, don't overthink it. We'll crack on with 3 more. Next 2 should be quick. So should this one, really. We've got Cam Norrie. Good old Cam Norrie and Jakob Mensik. These have never played each other before. Have we ever seen Mensik play on the grass? I don't know. I know we've seen him play last year, but did he really turn up 2 and 5 last year on the grass? First round out in Den Bosch, first round. I didn't even get through qualifying for this one in Halle last year. 2 and 1 in Mallorca. First round exit in Wimbledon, first round exit in Newport. Got fucking smoked by Alex Bolton, Newport last year, 6-2, 6-4. Damn. Be a tough one. Cam Norrie at home. You have to assume that crowd will be all there for our boy Cam, or for my boy anyway. How's he going to get on? I'd love to take him, I'd love to take him. He's a dog, 2.2. Not a bad dog. Fairly decent in the French Open until he bumped into Djokovic. He was fairly decent before that as well. Got to the semi-finals in Geneva until he bumped into, that's right, Djokovic again. Life ain't fair, is it? Life ain't fair for Cam Norrie. If things were just a little bit different, maybe he would have had himself a little Geneva title there. But it doesn't matter. The point is he's been in decent form the past couple of weeks, currently winning 8 of his last 10, as opposed to Jakob Mensik, who's currently on 6 of his last 10. Not too bad whatsoever. I think, if we're going off clay season, Cam Norrie had a much more successful clay season I'd say 14-7 as opposed to 6-5 for Joachim Mensik. We all know, it's no secret to us, he does the majority of his business over on the hard court. I do think the grass probably will suit him a lot more than the clay. We know how we can serve. We know how we can play. Very powerful. That serve is thunderous when it's on. Not a lot you can do. Not a lot anyone can do about that when it's firing. And that goes for Cam Norrie as well. I imagine he will most definitely struggle with the service games of Joachim Mensik. It's the return games I'm worried about the most. What are we going to get from Mensik on the return game? Is he just going to try and cruise through his service games and then just try and fancy his luck in a tiebreaker or something? I feel like you're walking on a very tight line. You know, you're on thin ice doing that against Cam Norrie in this spot, especially since you've got zero pedigree on this surface. Zero pedigree. It is the this is the transition match, and this is the first match for both of these, so there is that element to the match too. This could very well be a little over spot. Maybe look at the over in one of the sets. Cam Norrie on the spread in the first set, I don't know. I say this, I didn't expect this type of matchup in the first round. This is more something you see later on in the tournament, but it's very interesting. It's going to be a good one. I'd love Cam Norrie to win this. Do I think he's going to? Maybe not. I know that he can, but I know Mensik can be very, very tough to beat on the day. With it being the first game back on the grass, or the first game on the grass rather, this season for a pair of them, as is the case with the majority of these matches, and as was the case last week. I'm just going to see how they get on. I'm just going to sit and watch it, see how they turn up, and then we'll assess the situation in round 2. But next up, we've got Jacob Fearnley and Alex Bolt. Probably gonna have to go with Jacob Fearnley in this one, folks. I'm gonna, say what you want, come and crucify me, come and try and fucking nail me to a cross on this one. I'm just gonna go with Jacob Fearnley. I'm just gonna stick with what I know. Although Alex Bolt, fairly decent on the grass this season, I will give him that 6-2 already on the surface. He was alright over in Birmingham on the Challenger Tour, got to the quarterfinals. And then he looked fairly decent. He looked fairly decent in qualifying. He barely got past Christopher O'Connell today. I took 3 sets. Jacob Fearnley is on a 2-game losing streak, one to Cam Norrie, and then last time out to Brandon Nakashima over in Stuttgart. He did take the first set, and it just sort of unravelled from there. And unravel it did as well. He lost a tiebreaker in the second and got smacked in the third. I think he's a little bit better. on the grass. I don't know. It was around this time last year he started planting his flag in the tour, didn't he? 9-3 on the grass last season. He won that Nottingham Challenger title. A bit shit in Eastbourne. 1-1 in Wimbledon. 1-1 over in Newport. As opposed to Alex Bolt, 22-4 last season. 22-4 last season, man. Majority of them on the Challenger Tour. The caliber of opponents, most definitely Challenger type opponents too. Got through qualifying in Wimbledon. Obviously, 3 rounds qualifying for Wimbledon. And then bumped into Casper Ruud first round. First round exit, straight sets. And then got to the quarterfinals in Newport. That's it. It's next month, is it? No, it's not telling me. I'm sure that's next month or the month after. Nah, it's not going to be August. It'll be in July. What my point is, Alex Bolt is more than comfortable on the surface. Safe to say, we've seen a lot more from him on the surface than we have of Jacob Fearnley. 1.4 for Jacob Fearnley. Maybe I'm not going to take him. I don't know. Potential fork in the road here. Potential banana peel for Jacob Fearnley. I'm not going to lie. Say Alex Bolt's in form. Not only is he in form, he seems to be in grass form, and that could pose problems for Jacob Fearnley. You know that. You know it's true. I'm not going to be blinded by bias. I would love him to win. You know me. I'm always going to support me boy. I would love Jacob Fearnley to win this. 1.4, 1.38, that seems like a bit of a price to pay. A little bit of a roll of the dice. coming up against Alex Bolt in the current form that he's in. I do think Jacob Fearnley is a lot better, bit of a higher ceiling than Alex Bolt indeed. 8 years younger than him as well. 8 years younger than he is Australian Bolt, isn't he? I'm sure he is. Yeah, that's neither here nor there anyway. Pay your money, take your choice. You're going to gamble on the unknown with Jacob Fearnley, or are you going to just, I say play it safe. You're not really playing it safe. He's a dog. He's nearly like a 2-1 dog. But it doesn't seem like that going off the phone. But maybe that tells us a very small story, even though Alex Bolt has been playing. You know, going off that record alone, 6-2 already on the grass, that's a lot better than the majority of them. It really is. But why is he nearly a 3-1 dog, 2.9? I don't know. Maybe there's a very good reason for that, and maybe that reason is just as simple as Jacob Fearnley's just a lot better than him on the grass. Shall remain to be seen. But we shall wrap this up, folks. Day 1, round 1, in the bag. After we've went through Mackenzie McDonald and Gael Monfils. Now it's quite fitting that we've left this one till the end. Not only is it the last game on the slate over in Queens, I ain't got much to say about this. I ain't got much to say. We all seen the interview after, was it Stuttgart? Yeah, it would have been. We all seen the interview after Stuttgart. Fair play to Monfils, I always say. The fact that we get to watch this guy turn up and still perform at this point in his career is magnificent. It is. I appreciate Monfils just for turning up. You know me, I'm not one for betting on him. I'm not one for betting on this guy. I know the level. I know the player that has always been there. He just ain't there anymore. How much do you expect from Monfils in these matches? I don't know. The formula for me, I always say, if you want to take him, it's the first round or nothing. First round or nothing. Because it's so obvious now. The deeper we get into these, the worse he's probably going to get. Body can't hold up, he admits it. And there's no shame in it. You know, he's been around the block more than a few times, and he's more than enough. And, you know, just going off what we've seen in the little clip the other day, I mean, it's almost as if, well, it's very apparent he hasn't really got many expectations for himself anymore. He's just sort of happy to be able to be in that position and be lucky enough to be able to still play tennis. And you've got to love and respect that. Fair play to Monfils. Shout out to you, brother. But I can't be taking him. He even said himself, if you're betting on Monfils, you're a fucking idiot, basically. I'd love him to win. And with all that being said, I'd still love to take him, but I can't. I haven't done for a while, and I don't think I ever will do after that. Very Buddhist approach with this one. Because at any other point, if we hadn't seen that and he hadn't said what he'd said, would you have taken him against Mackenzie McDonald? Maybe. Very just maybe. Monfils, he's never really done that much on the grass, as of late anyway. Don't really see that much of him when he does play on the grass anyway. Same with Mackenzie McDonald, a little bit more out of him. 40 and 30 on the career as opposed to 46 and 35 for Monfils. Monfils has been playing since 2003. You know, and very, very close on the overall the overall records on the surface. McDonald has just come through qualifying, both of them in straight sets as well, beat Henry Searle and Kovacevic. Monfils, 2-game losing streak. Not only that, he's won 3 of his last 10. Not too great. Over on the clay, 1-4 on the clay to be precise. No, sorry, 3-3 on the clay to be precise. I was looking at Mackenzie McDonald. 0-1 on the grass. Like I said, he got beat by Alex Michelsen. Took that first set and then just didn't have what it took to do the rest. He didn't take the first set, he took the second set. So I meant to say he dropped the first set. Beat McDonald or nothing. Mackenzie McDonald or nothing. But I would not be going anywhere near that. I wouldn't. Sit there, watch it, see how he turns up. Just enjoy the Monfils performance here. Do with that what you will. I'm going to wrap this shit up. That's going to do us, folks. That'll be a lot for tonight. Appreciate you stopping by, yeah. As always, means a lot to me. Very well then. I'll be saying good night to you. You take it easy, yeah. You take care of yourselves. You take care of one another. It's the most important thing. Like and subscribe. Pretty sure we'll be at that 2K mark before we know it. I think that's everything, innit? That is definitely everything. Right, cool. All right then, folks. Very, very well. Best bets, everything in the comments. Get yourselves involved. Don't be shy. Anything I'm going for, you know where it's going to be. Where's it going to be? That's right. Pin comment. If it's pinned, it's pinned. It's not. It's not. I wish it all the best of luck. Take it easy on the first round. One more reminder. Don't do anything silly. Don't be going crazy. Don't be going big on the first round. I mean, do what the fuck you want. I'm not your dad. You know what I mean? Do what you want. I'm just telling you, I don't really do that much on the first rounds anyway. Let's go get it, yeah. Polish Sports Squad, good to see you. It's always a pleasure. Go get that cash today if you're having a go. And I shall see you all tomorrow.